Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, and I missed my 1 year anniversary on YouTube and eBay. 1 year since I've started selling full-time on eBay or taking eBay pretty seriously, and 1 year since I started this channel. So, been quite the journey. We started in a small room in New York, and we've since moved to a small room in Florida. So definitely a change of scenery, and still adapting here in Florida, getting used to the whole market, figuring out the flea markets, yard sales, stuff like that. Haven't got to do too many yard sales, but I've set up at a few flea markets. Only Webster, but I've done it a few times. I've done okay, and I've gone to shop at it a few times also, just to shop, and a few times just to set up. So been getting rid of some stuff that way, purged a lot of stuff off of my eBay stuff that was just really stale, not moving, just wanted it gone out of here so I could make space, because need to make room for new inventory. So it's one of the things we've been doing here, purging, going to flea markets, setting up at them. So that's been fun. So eBay hasn't necessarily been the sole income for me. So, but yeah, this whole year we ended up selling over 1,000 items, 1,241 items sold on eBay this year, which I'll give you the total later. And for this video, I figured I'd go over some of the better sales for the year, mainly some of the bigger profit items that I've made. I tried to narrow it down as much as I could. I ended up getting it to like 28 items. Hey, Bubba. And so we're going to go over that. I'll try to do it as quick as possible here, not to make this video too crazy long. But there's 28 items to get through, going back all years. I kind of used 100, anything over 100 kind of as my starting point, except for the last item, and some of them get up there. So, and I had to, like I said, I had to narrow this down. I had to leave out a lot of great items that were kind of multiples, like World War II helmets. I sell a lot of those, and I always get anywhere from 150 to 300, 400, 500. It all depends on the helmet. And then military uniforms, I didn't put hardly any of those in here also, because uniforms, again, I sell a lot of uniforms, and some of those get up there too. So I tried to narrow it down to where it wasn't too many uniforms, and I didn't think I put any World War II helmets. But so let's get started here. The first one, starting with number 28, I sold it for $74.97. I think in June, around June, and it was a Fraggle Rock board game. Fraggle Rock, remember the show from the 80s, Jim Henson, the Muppets. $74.97, paid $5 for that at an estate sale, which was pretty good, because it was already a great estate sale, because I bought a really great World War II squadron patch and a uniform there that I did pretty well on. I think I sold I had less than $100 to everything I bought at that sale, and I sold the patch and uniform for $700. So the $74 for the Fraggle Rock was just pure profit. So I'll take that all day. Number 27, I think also sold in June. Pyrex Rainbow Blue Dinner Set, which was still sealed in the box. Yeah, so I paid $5 for that at a yard sale, which is kind of, Pyrex was made in Corning, New York, which I grew up and bought this set about 15-20 minutes away from Corning. So that was one nice thing about being in New York, especially that area. We found a lot of Pyrex Krell stuff, because the factories are right there. And so that was a nice little flip, $5 into 120. And number 26 sold in April. Now this was a Hess truck. Now in my experience as an antique dealer, toy dealer, Hess trucks aren't worth much of anything, and most of the time they're not even worth buying. They're really hard to sell. But this one was a unique one. It was a Hess made by Louis Marks, so it was actually one of the first Hess trucks that they had actually released. It was a fire truck, pretty neat little toy, and it was still in the original box, which was the main reason I bought it, because the flea market vendor, even he said, he's like, oh, these go for over $100, but I only want 20, and I'm like, okay. But since I'd never seen one, and it had the box. I was like, why not? And it ended up selling for $120 plus shipping, so that was pretty cool. On another thing about this list, most of these are plus shipping, some aren't. I can't remember which ones aren't. Because somewhere in the year I decided I had started with free shipping and decided that free shipping wasn't necessarily the way to go. Especially when I was doing like sales and people were sending offers, or I would send out offers and started cutting into the profit a little bit too much. So to make that easier, I just started charging shipping. Even though I technically was trying to work it into my prices before, but in the end, I think it's better to charge. So the next one was sold in April. Number 25, sold in April, was a Culver Military School, Military Academy, like yearbook basically. And that was actually given to me by another dealer who was getting out of the business and just had a pile of stuff. He's like, here, you want this stuff? I was like, sure. It wasn't anything too significant in there, but this was in there and it sold for $124.97. It was just one of those things I kind of, based off comps, I thought I'll throw this price on it, and that's what it ended up selling for, so really happy with that one. Number 24 sold in March, and that was a Link Aviation Factory Workers patch. This was a really neat embroidered on twill factory workers patch, or something I would have went on a factory workers uniform of some kind, I'm assuming, but it was Link Aviation, and they made flight simulators during World War II, and I think they actually do still today also. But these patches were definitely like World War II era, and I bought those at a flea market for less than $1 each. I bought 2 of the exact same patch with a couple other random patches for like $3, and I sold the one on eBay for $128, and that was an auction. So that, most of these are buy it nows, but this one was an auction, and I was actually a little disappointed in that one. Pretty much all the auctions I ran this year I was disappointed in on eBay. But yeah, so $128 for that one, and I sold one in better condition, or actually worse condition than the one I sold on eBay on a Facebook page for like $250. So I was hoping to get closer to that for this, the nice one here, but $128. But I had less than $1 into it. Cannot complain. Number 23 sold in February, and what that was a World War II Ethos Cell canteen. Now that's basically a, I don't want to say experimental. People say they were experimental, but there's so many of them out there. I don't think that works. They were out there. But they're still rare. I say they're out there, which you can find them. They're findable, but they are still hard to find. But this one I ended up selling for $140. I think I paid $70 for it. I had a military show. So $140, not the biggest profit there, but it's a neat piece. Nonetheless, if you find one at a flea market or a yard sale, because here's a picture of one. If it's cheap, grab it. It's worth at least $70 at the very least. I got a little more for this one because of the manufacturer being a little harder to find maker. And number 22 was pretty cool also. It was a motorcycle helmet that somebody had painted a skull and crossbones on, and I think a race number. Just a unique piece. The helmet itself would probably have been worth not a whole lot, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, give or take. But with the artwork on it, I thought it made it unique and cool. So I ended up throwing it on eBay for $149.97, and that's what it sold for. Pretty quickly. I think it only took one or 2 days to sell at that price, and I paid $10, so I was very happy with that. Was number 21 sold in March, and then what that was a Star Galactica model. I bought it at one of my local mom and pop thrift shops up in New York. I think I paid $5 or $10 for it, and it sold for $150, which kind of blew my mind because it was one of those things I bought because I was like, oh, it's a model, it's cool, Star Galactica. Take it home, look up at the comps, I'm like, holy crap, you selling for like $200. So I put mine up for $150, and it sold, I think, the day I listed it, so that was a nice little sale. And number 20 sold in June. That was a pretty cool piece, the Colonel Potter Mash Collector's Glass that I had actually pulled out of my collection, and it sold for $150 also. Let's see, yeah, $149.97. which kind of blew my mind for a glass, because I'm pretty sure when we bought that originally, we probably didn't pay more than $5 or $10 for it, because I think we bought the whole set at one point at a flea market, and I held on to those for a few years, and sold that one for $150, and I think I got $75 each for the other two. So those are good collector's glasses to keep an eye out for. Number 19 I sold in March, and that was a pretty cool find I had at the show of shows, the big military show in Kentucky. It was a last minute find on the last day of the show. Everybody's pretty much packing up, and this shirt was sitting on this table. I pick it up, and he's like, "Oh, I just put that out because I forgot I had it when I brought it, and I was just packing." And so it's the first time it's been out. So I was the first one to see it the whole show at the last day. And how much do you want for it? I say, and $40. Gave the man $40 for it because I'd never seen one in person. You know, I've seen pictures and knew what it was, but it was basically it's an American shirt that we painted PW on to signify that the person wearing it is a prisoner of war, like when they were out on their work details and stuff. So it could have been worn by a Japanese prisoner, German prisoner, what have you. But for $40, I thought it was a no-brainer, and I ended up selling that for $150 also. So not bad on that one. And then number 18 was a GAR, Grand Army of the Republic, which was the Civil War veterans kind of organization after the war. That sold for $150. I picked that up at a military show for $40. I picked it up because it was a unique kind of shape. It had more of like a Navy hat kind of look to it than the normal GAR kepi. So, and at $40, it was no brainer. It had pretty much any GAR cap you should be able to get 100 or more for. And the next one, number 17, I gotta give Gina credit for picking this one up. We were at a flea market, and it was from the same person I bought the Link Aviation patches from, actually, and they ended up selling for $170 through auction. And what it was My Littlest Pet Shop lot of all the little pets, the little accessories, the play sets. There was all these little accessories that went with it. They were actually kind of neat, but paid $10 for all of it. And ended up selling for $170 in an auction on eBay. So, and as I was saying earlier, I was pretty not impressed by most of the auctions I ran this year. So, had I listed that for $250, maybe I could have got it. Either way, $170, cannot complain. Especially after that was a great day at the flea market for me there. Number 16 sold in August, and this is something that had been listed for a long time because it was actually listed before I was doing eBay or even YouTube. It's something I picked up a couple of years ago, and it had just been sitting on my eBay, and I'd been gradually lowering the price for a long time. But it was a cabinet photo, a large cabinet photo, so it made it pretty unique. Not only that, it was this incredible photo of from a dog show in Corning, New York. Was what I found out from looking at some of the names on the buildings, because the people told me it was Rochester, but when I bought it at a yard sale for $20, so I think it's in Rochester, but after looking up a couple of the buildings, it was in Corning, New York, and there was dogs on podiums in the street, and it had all these buckboard wagons in the background. It was an incredible photo. There was so much going on in it. I'll see if I can get a big picture of it here. But I paid $20 for that at a yard sale, and it came in like this cheap frame, but I took the frame out, and because they had it matted in there too, so as I'm looking at this photo at the garage sale, I'm like, I think this is a real photo, but the way they had it matted, they made it look kind of new. So I took the gamble at $20, and it turned out to be a real cabinet photo. Even with the damage on that, I got $175, even though I had it listed for like over $300 for like a year before that, but it eventually sold for $175, so not too bad there. Number 15 sold in June, so we're about halfway through the list here, guys. I'm trying to work my way through. We're about halfway through the list now. So, and number 15 sold in June, and that was a Gentex Advanced Combat Helmet, a Kevlar helmet, like modern kind of issue helmet that I got at a yard sale. This was at a community yard sale. That was not very impressive. It was a community sale. It had like maybe 10 sales in the whole town. It was kind of sad, but luckily we came upon this sale and they had a few of these helmets. I think we bought 2 or 3 helmets, $5 each, and some nice military issue boots, most of which were not issued. Sold both the helmets for $185 each. I only put the one out here on the list, but then we also sold a few of the boots for over $100 too. So that was a great buy. I think we spent maybe $75 that whole sale. We made close to $1,000 off of between the boots and the helmets and a couple other random things we bought there. Number 14 we sold in May, and what that was a chin strap, a leather chin strap, green buckle chin strap that goes on the liners of World War II helmets. If you ever see the green buckle ones, grab those. From what I understand, I think because they're definitely World War II. The black buckle ones are post-war, so most collectors are looking for the green buckle ones to complete their nice helmets. And this thing was in great shape, because normally the leather dries up and they get rotted, they get stretched out, and they just fall apart with age. And this one was in great shape, and I ended up selling it for $185 plus shipping. And I probably had less than $1 added to it because I found it at a yard sale on a liner. I ended up selling the liner separately for like over $100 too, because it was a really nice liner. So I parted it out. So sold the liner for a decent profit, and the chin strap, because I probably think I paid $2 for the liner. That's why I love yard sales. And number 13 was a bomber jacket, another bomber jacket. It wasn't like a military issue one. It was like a Chinese knockoff version of a World War II bomber jacket that was actually given to me by my uncle, because he bought it for himself and it was too big. So, and he gave it to me and he's like, "Here, take this. You can sell it and do whatever you want with it." Because it was too small for me, too big for him, too small for me. And I sold that for $200, $199.97. So for free, not bad. Let's see here. Number 12 we sold into February, and that was a unique bit of art that I'd found in a private pick. But I probably had a couple $100 into the pile of stuff, which I'm sure I did well, because I think I bought a World War II German stick handle grenade with this group for around $200-300, and I sold the grenade for like $550, not on eBay. That's also why it's not on the list here. But I did sell it for like $550 or $600, somewhere around there. And these were also in there, and I grabbed them because they were original art. Like it was 2 sketches, and they were done by Henry Ward Ranger, who apparently is a fairly well-known artist in the art community. Can't say I've ever heard of him, but I have now. Anyway, but I mainly bought them because it was original sketches, and they were fairly well done. I like art. I know enough about it to get myself in trouble. Not an expert by any means. I dabble in art myself, so I think I have a good eye for it. And so I grabbed them, threw them into my pile. I'm probably no more than $5 a piece on those. But they sold for $200. So another good sale. Number 12 there. And number 11 was the Jurassic Park compound playset, which was a pretty badass playset, because I had to set it up to get my pictures, of course. You know, you gotta test your product before you sell it to be a good reseller, and I had a lot of fun setting it up, and kind of made me wish I had one when I was a kid. But I think I paid around $75 to that, between $75 and $100 at flea market over last winter. Ended up selling eventually. It took a while, longer than I thought it would, for $209. I think I had it listed for like $250 for the longest, and plus shipping, because it was a big box. It was in the original box. It was a big box that was going to require an even bigger box to ship it in. So the shipping I charged quite a bit for, like $60-70, and I think I still had to eat a couple bucks of it, all said and done. But $209, so it wasn't a huge profit on that one, but it was a cool toy. Let's see, number 10, we're finally in the 10s. We're at number 10, Danica Patrick. One of her many wrecked cars panel came up with one of her cars. It was a contingency panel I bought at Brimfield. I paid $40 each, I believe. I might have got a deal on the pot. Yeah, it was like $90 I paid for, so technically $30 each. And the Danica panel sold for $2.25, $224.97 plus shipping. And somebody who bought that one actually bought the other Danica panel. I had two, so they bought both of those, and they were a viewer. So if you're still watching, appreciate those sales. Those were awesome. They came in really handy, and I hope you got them. They arrived safely. I remember you did say you got them, so that was good. Number 9 was a Vietnam era Zippo that had been engraved for the 192nd birthday of the Marine Corps. Yeah, the 192nd, so in 1967. And it was probably one of those, like a theater made in Da Nang or Tokyo, something like that. But it sold for $250. No, I paid $50 for that, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get for it when I paid $50, but I thought it was unique enough to give the guy $50 and did it. I just kind of ended up throwing a number on it, and it sold for my asking price, which is always nice. So $50 and the $250. Yeah, if I could do that every day, I would. Number 8 sold in May. This was a cigar store Indian Native American statue where he had holding a bunch of cigars, and I had this for a few years, and I honestly can't really remember what I paid for it, because when I bought it, I wanted to keep it because I thought the thing was awesome. But it was like a foam cast and resin piece. It was pretty light, but it was, good size. He ended up selling for $250 plus shipping. Gina talked me into selling it somehow because I really didn't want to, but we were moving anyway, so it worked out because anyway. But he was a pretty cool piece, and like I said, don't remember what I paid for him, but it probably wasn't, more than $40 probably. I don't know. Let's see. Number 7 was another cool one. This came in a private pick where I bought a bunch of Star Wars toys and some other toys, random toys. I remember him wanting $50 for this piece individually, but I ended up paying like $400 for a pile of stuff, which I did pretty well on. All said and done, probably over $1,000 in the end. But this one piece I ended up getting $350 for. It was a GoBot Mint on the Card Turbo, the race car. It sold for $350. And I don't think I was charging shipping quite yet, because it was in March. So that was a pretty cool one. And number 6, which was kind of a sad sale at the same time, because it was a unique piece that I found at SOS. It was a Marine Corps dress blue jacket that had belonged to a para-marine who unfortunately was killed on Iwo Jima. And I believe I paid around $75 for that, and it sold for $350. I say sad because somebody had to lose their life to make that piece so valuable, and so that was a unique one. It was fun to research on the guy because he was a para-marine, and they didn't see a lot of action as a unit, but they did train Marine Corps paratroopers in World War II, and he was in that program, and then eventually was reassigned to another unit, and unfortunately died on Iwo Jima. So this is something I definitely don't take lightly, because there's the next lot too is kind of an emotional lot where somebody had to die to make these pieces so unique and, for lack of a better word, valuable to collectors. But I sold that for $350 and I paid $75, so that wasn't too bad. And the next one, like I was saying, another sad one. It's a World War II to Vietnam family group. I had pictures that were from the father of this group that were from World War II. Then I had some letters, one of which was from Lyndon B. Johnson and a couple state senators during the Vietnam War. And these letters were letters of condolence to this man's parents for unfortunately dying in Vietnam. Their letter of sympathies, more or less, from, like I said, LBJ and a couple other senators to the parents, which was kind of unique. Never seen those before, because I believe most families got nothing more than a Western Union telegram when their loved ones were killed in action in Vietnam. So definitely another emotional sale. Sad for sure. But that sold for $444.97. I paid $200, so it wasn't a huge profit, but it was such a unique group. I felt like I had to get that out of where it was to a collector. The next one's a little happier sale, but it was number 4. Number 4 sold in April, and that was a really unique bit of folk art, I guess is the word for it. It was painted leather motorcycle jacket. The jacket alone would have been worth probably a couple $100, but a fairly well-known artist had done some of his art on it. His name was David McKee, and he was a fairly well-known children's book illustrator. Had a very abstract way of doing animals and stuff like that, which was kind of like this piece too. It was just kind of a wild, trippy scene on the back of the jacket, and with a lot of pop culture references on it, and it was just unique. And I paid $225 for that, $225 at a military show of all places, just because it was so unique. But I ended up selling that for $500, and the guy who got it was very happy. Like, he had never heard of the artist, but he just thought the art was amazing, kind of like I did. Just unique, one of those things where I didn't even know what to put on it. I think I put $750 on it, and it eventually sold for $500, so that worked out in the end. Let's see. Number 3 we sold in September, and that was, I bought a stack of like 7 or 8 of these parking placards that were supposedly used by the casting crew of The Godfather on the set, so their cars wouldn't get towed or something like that by the local police when they would be filming on location. And this guy was apparently in the prop department for Godfathers 1 and 2, so that's how he acquired them. And I've heard this story before because I bought actually one of the license plates off of him a few years ago, and I did pretty well on that when I sold that. So I saw these at, I think it was Balkville. I bought from him before at Brimfield, but I ran into him at Balkville this past year, and he had a stack of them. So I grabbed all he had, and I think he wanted $30 a piece, and I think I ended up having to pay $30 a piece. He didn't want to budge off that, so 7 or 8 of them there, so whatever that round up to be. But I ended up selling them for about $100 each. I think I just put one on eBay. It sold almost instantly for $100. Then I put the second one up, and the guy who bought the first one bought that. And then he just messaged me, and he's like, "Do you got any more of these?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like 6 or 7." And he's like, "How much for all of them?" And I think I said $500. I think I sold him 6 for $500, so I knocked like $100 off. So between him, he's bought $700 worth for must have been 7 of them, so, or 8 for $700. So it wasn't too bad, because I think I had less than $200 into those. And getting close to number 1. Number 2, I bought at the show of shows in Kentucky a whole case of more Vietnam era sea rations, an unopened case. Now I bought that originally, and I was thinking I was going to open it, and because I think I did a video where I was like, if I can get 100 likes, which I think I may even have that at this point, but didn't do it because, one, I was afraid the condition could be bad of some of the kits on the inside, and who knew what kind of condition they'd be in. So, and it would have been a shame at the same time to actually break it apart. But that sold for $750. Paid $200 from one of my good buddies, one of my good show buddies at SOS. He didn't want to take it to the car because it was another one of those last minute finds where you're just walking around, and the guy, he's like, "I don't want to take this to the car." And I was thinking about buying it at $250, and he's like, "I'll give it to you for $200." And I'm like, sold. So that sold for $750 plus shipping. That was a nightmare to ship. I remember that because it was a heavy piece, so and that's why he didn't want to carry it to the car. It was a big, awkward, heavy piece. The number 1 sale of the year would happen in September. I think I found them around the same time too. Probably one of my better scores of the year, which I got another one I'll mention after this, but I didn't sell it on eBay, so I guess it doesn't count. But this was definitely one of the better scores of the year. If you guys have been watching the channel at all, you'll know that I had a pretty good wrap tee sweater find. They were bootleg wrap tee sweaters. Like the t-shirts you could do pretty well on, the sweaters, well. But I bought There was Method Man and Redman, Notorious B.I.G., Mike Tyson, and a couple Pope ones, actually. But unfortunately, the Notorious B.I.G. ones and the Method and Redman ones had dry rot. So, unfortunately, that impacted the value significantly, but I still did very well on them. I paid $50 for this pile of shirts that included those and a couple bootleg Looney Tunes shirts that I've also sold a few of for like 30-40 bucks a piece at this point. But I sold, let's see, the first Notorious B.I.G. one sold for $600, and the same person who bought that ended up buying my Method and Redman one for $300. So right there was $900, and then somebody again, I think it was the same guy, but then somebody came along and bought the other Notorious B.I.G. for $400 eventually, because that listed a little longer. So right there was $1,300 from 3 shirts. So I still got the Mike Tyson, which was a pretty decent one to sell, but again, that one has dry rot. And the Pope ones, which I have like $250 a piece on those. No hits on any of those. I've had a couple. Actually, I sold the Tyson one once, and then buyer never paid. But so those I believe will sell eventually for a few $100s, but at this point I can't go wrong on those. So there was my top 30 of items that I've sold this year. I'm old school, I like pen and paper. And that was out of 1,241 items that I sold. I narrowed it down as best as I could. But I also got one more that I didn't sell on eBay, but it was probably one of my better scores of the year for sure. World War I Marine Corps 2nd Infantry Division uniform that I found in a state sale for like $50. Sold that for $17.50 on a military group on Facebook. So that was a pretty good profit too. So those my 2 best scores of the year were definitely the wrap tee sweaters and this uniform. So all in all, pretty decent year. It's been a year in review, I guess, for this video. Definitely been some ups and downs. This quarter has been pretty slow for me. So I'm hoping January picks up a lot more. But fingers crossed. We're in Florida. The weather's great down here. I will admit that. I'm not missing the snow at all. But I'm missing some of the antiques I used to find more regularly up there. So there's that. But so out of 1,241 items, that came to actually 57,876.07. So I was hoping to do more this year, and it just didn't work out like that. So next year I'm planning to hopefully double that number. We'll see what happens. To at least break 6 figures. That would be great, especially because 57 after taxes, eBay fees and stuff, it's not going to be a huge amount after all the work I put in this year for binding it and selling it, packaging, shipping, all that fun stuff. So that was the video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you've been with me for the year, you guys are awesome. I didn't make my 1,000 subscribers within the year. I was really hoping by the end of the year I'd have that 1,000 mark, but we got pretty dang close, and I can't complain. So I want to thank all the viewers from the last year, all the new ones. If this is your first video, if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. We're gonna try to keep plugging along, kind of try to double that number. I'm gonna try to start posting a little more consistently here in the next year. Maybe do some tutorial style videos. We'll see. But mostly I like to stick to the flipping videos. So they're fun to make and relatively easy to edit too. So, but as far as what we got going here, I've been making some 3D printed stuff that I might start selling. I can't sell stuff like this, but working on designing my own files, hopefully here in the future where I can sell them on eBay. But I've been having a lot of fun with this thing. I've been making all sorts of really nerdy shit, like Aztec Death Whistle from Ghostbusters Afterlife, King Leonidas from 300. These need to be painted. I'm going to paint those. Just made this one today. It's Mickey Mouse as a stormtrooper. Just thought that was cute and fun. I am Batman. But yeah, like I said, I've just been making some nerdy stuff. So, and that's kind of, I'm gonna be making a another channel here, starting a new channel where I'm going to be doing some crafty, maybe probably painting some of these, making some puppets and stuff. I like to make puppets. I'm a nerd, I'm a big nerd, but I also really like to make stuff, so props and whatnot. So if you like that kind of content, keep an eye out. I'll make an announcement on this channel eventually, which it should be within the next month or so, where I'll be launching that channel, I guess. So stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys next time.